Hi, my name is Michael, and I just got finished watching the new Twin Peaks just now, and it was overwhelming. It was incredible. I, being a younger person, kind of a younger person, did not grow up with the series when it was actually on. I came to it in the early 2000s, so it's really only been about 15 years since I've heard about it. But 15 years is still quite a long time to have known about something and not had any kind of resolution to it. And I was not disappointed at all. It was absolutely incredible. Uh, the first thing I want to say about the general tone and the look of the new series is that it feels very much like Mulholland Drive. Mulholland Drive, oddly enough, was originally thought of as perhaps a pilot for a television series, which seems really peculiar when actually watching it, unlike the pilot for Twin Peaks, which really feels like a setup for a bigger thing. The tone and the style and the look of it really feels like Mulholland Drive, or even at times drifting a little bit into Inland Empire with the truly abstract, odd stuff. For instance, the reason that Michael Anderson is not in the movie, I'm not gonna, I won't spoil that anymore. But I will tell you there are going to be spoilers in this, as I will have put in the description, I hope. Um, some of the fan theories about what was going to happen that people have been kicking around for decades now really came true. My personal headcanon about what happened with Agent Cooper is that he would have been extracted from the Black Lodge pretty darn quickly, like maybe within a year of him going in, like if there was a hypothetical third season back then in the 90s that he would have gotten out. But no, he's been trapped in the Black Lodge for a quarter of a century, which is kind of amazing. We know that time passes differently in the lodge, so we can kind of hope, that he did not. He was just like dicking around there for 25 years, drinking coffee and talking to midgets or something. I don't know. Maybe that is what he did. I really don't know. But he can't have talked to midgets now, considering what happened. But I don't want to spoil that particular thing. Um, Another theory that I heard kicking around for a long time is that Dale essentially is the new villain of the series. The evil Dale is running around America causing havoc and trouble, and all kinds of dastardly things are being done. And that was kind of scary. The Kyle MacLachlan many years ago was wanted to play Jim Morrison in the biopic that Oliver Stone did of him, and I never thought until this day that he would have been good in the role, but I was wrong because he kind of has this weird, almost Jim Morrison-y vibe as the evil Dale, with this kind of the coat he's wearing and the pants and the hair long down to his shoulders. He looks kind of wild. He could have played Jim Morrison amazingly. That like an evil Jim Morrison. It looks pretty cool. Um, some of the scenes in it are very scary, and I'm not an easy man to scare. I've been watching horror movies since before I could read, and it's not easy to scare me, but David Lynch always does because he knows that fright is about tone and atmosphere, and there are a lot of scary, creepy things going on here and there in the show. I noticed that some people were remarking that a lot of the characters were, when they showed the pictures of them, were getting on in years, which I thought was a little bit inappropriate to say. But, it's true. They are. 25 years, a quarter of a century have passed since the original show came out. So obviously, these people are going to be a little bit a little bit older than they were then. But that doesn't bother me because David Lynch and Mark Frost are both a bit older, so it doesn't. It's not really something that phases me. There's a fair amount of time spent in truly bizarre, weird stuff. Unlike the show, where, and because I've watched it so many times, and especially because I just came off watching it in preparation for this, a lot of time in that show was spent on very sitcom-y silliness at times, and only occasionally kind of dipped a couple of toes in the weirdness, whereas this one, we have jumped into the deep end of weirdness and are just swimming around in there, and it's amazing. We don't, like, everything gets set up in these first 2 hours, but we don't necessarily learn a tremendous amount of stuff about what's going on. We know a little bit, but it's really just a very basic beginning because all these threads are thrown out at us and we all have to start picking at them, and there are some scenes in it that are more generic. Like, but there's a large section about a mysterious and grisly serial killing that the evil Dale seems to be involved in some way. But we don't really know exactly what happened or why, or if it's related to the fact that the good Dale is actually still trying to get out of the lodge, even though he's aged in the lodge, obviously, because the actor is aged, which is kind of peculiar. The music was absolutely incredible in this. Just going back in general to Twin Peaks was an amazing and kind of emotional experience. I'd like to mention that Jerry Horn is a pot dealer. He grows marijuana and he sells it for Horn Industries, which that's a great little touch there. I really enjoyed that. They also seem to have kind of very self-consciously, almost apologetically, made the Horn brothers a little bit less of horn dogs than they were in the early series, and made them kind of sort of mention their inappropriate attitudes towards women, and kind of say, Ben actually says very self-consciously RESPECT, as if he's trying to overcome some of his past image. But I don't really know what happened to Ben, because we see him so little. We're going to have to wait on that and find out if he actually became a good guy or if he remained evil, as I assumed he would after the events of the series finale, return to evil somehow. But he is smoking cigars rather than chewing on carrots, so that's kind of a sign, I think, that something is wrong, or something is not quite good with him. His office that they redid, it kind of looks odd because it's smaller and more compact than the other one. That's kind of peculiar. They didn't spend an incredible amount of time in Twin Peaks. Like, only some of it is spent there, and the other parts of it are spent scattered around a bunch of locations, including New York City, weirdly enough. And they even go to Las Vegas, and there's other sort of vaguely northwesterny areas that I would, say Oregon, Washington, Montana, North and South Dakota are that sort of one chunk of the United States. They spent a fair amount of time in South Dakota, where Evil Dale is up to no good, and he is great as a villain. I consider the Special Agent Dale Cooper as one of the best heroes in fiction, and he is absolutely extraordinary in this role as a bad guy. I mean, he really just knocked my socks off. Returning to the series, this is really just a very basic primer to what's going to be going on. It doesn't feel anything like the original. It feels much more like Firewalk with Me, or even beyond that, I would say, as I said, it feels much more like Mulholland Drive. Everything has this sort of subdued eeriness, this sort of cool, relaxed, unpleasant attention. I don't know, that doesn't make any sense, relaxed tension, but that's what it kind of feels like. It's sort of down low, but things are sort of strange and unpleasant around them. And the show does actually include humor, which, of course, the original Twin Peaks was one of the funniest shows I ever watched. And this one definitely includes some humor in it. Not quite to the point where the show was, but it's only the first episode, the first 2 episodes. Next week, we're going to be getting episode 3 and 4, I believe, which is going to be amazing. So I want to keep this under 10 minutes, so I'm going to wrap this up in just a little bit. I'm going to continue going through and looking at and giving my feelings just in a general sense in all of the episodes that come out and posting that. I apologize for the odd lighting, but it's late at night and I don't have a good light in here. So next Monday, I'm going to post the next part of this little reaction to it and give my thoughts on it. Just one final thing. I thought that the artistry in this show is absolutely amazing. Something about the original Twin Peaks that no show is ever able to equal, no matter how critically acclaimed it was, even if it was The Wire or The Sopranos or anything that's being made on TV today. Twin Peaks is still one of the most beautifully artistic and well-made shows ever. And this looks absolutely extraordinary. The camera work, the lighting is, of course, because it's David Lynch, it's all top-notch. It looks absolutely incredible. I loved every minute of this. I'm probably going to watch this again pretty soon, just to rewatch and go over it again, but it absolutely blew me away. I loved it. So I'll see you next week. Thank you. Bye-bye.